What is good, everybody? This is your guy Manny, and this is the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. Welcome to the Talking Sports with Manny podcast. And today we're going to be talking fantasy football. Tonight we have a great game lined up. You got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the LA Chargers. I almost said San Diego. The LA Chargers. It's going to be a great game. You got Justin Herbert. You got Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be high scoring. It has the potential to be high scoring, but you know how these things go on a short week. Mahomes dealing with an injury on his off-throwing hand. You just never know how that game is going to go. But I would say this. I think it has the potential to be a high-scoring game. People have been asking about Josh Palmer. I would definitely start Josh Palmer. I think that he's going to be the wide receiver that gets targeted more than DeAndre Carter. So is that – do you go with Carter? Do you go with Palmer? Palmer has – the bigger upside. He's very talented. He's a guy that I drafted a lot as a sleeper this year. So I would go Palmer. DeAndre Carter is straight. He was on my Commanders last year, so I know of DeAndre Carter. He's decent, but I would go Palmer. I think Palmer scores a touchdown tonight. I could be totally wrong, but it's going to be a good game. I don't know who gets off for the Kansas City Chiefs. Could it be Mecole Hardman? Could it be Juju Smith-Schuster? That roster is just so crazy that you really don't know who is going to be the guy. But I'm going to go game by game, kind of give my previews and my thoughts on who I think is going to do something this week, and then we'll kind of go from there. This is the Fantasy Football Starts and Sits show. After I do my starts and sits, if we have time, then I'll go ahead and do a preview of all the games in the NFL for next week. So we'll start first with the fantasy preview. So one of the games this week that I'm very interested in is, like I said, this Kansas City versus LA game. I know right now, by the time you guys get this information, the game might have already been playing or probably is playing. So for those of you guys who catch this before the KC game, I would definitely say, obviously, you start Mahomes. You start Travis Kelce. Those are no-brainers, right? You start Justin Herbert. You start Mike Williams. Those are no-brainer. Austin Eckler, you start these guys. The stars will be stars. Now, where it gets interesting is those other guys, right? Also, if I'm you guys, stash Sony Michel before this game, just in case Austin Eckler gets hurt. You always want to cuff your assets. A lot of you guys drafted Austin Eckler. If you can, grab Sony Michel. If your league allows you to drop a player, you can drop him after the game. If Eckler leaves the game being healthy. So that's something that I like to do. Also, on the flip side, there's all this talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Is he back? Is he ready? I don't know. I don't trust Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I will not start Clyde Edwards-Helaire tonight. But you guys can. That's your guy. He's not my guy. If you have McKinnon, keep him on your roster. Pacheco, keep those guys on your roster just in case things go south for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Even though he had a great week one, you just never know how things shake out. I already talked about DeAndre Carter, what I think that he can or may not do. So with DeAndre Carter, it's up in the air. So we're going to go ahead and slide on to the next game, which is the Miami Dolphins versus the Baltimore Ravens. Now, here's how I would approach this. Miami, you know who Tyreek Hill is. You start a Tyreek Hill. You start a Jalen Waddle. Even though it's a tough matchup versus Baltimore, if there's going to be any air yards, it's going to be Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Last week, I didn't want to start Jalen Waddle because I really didn't even know how him and Tyreek Hill would mesh and this and that. They both got love. They both had over 17 fantasy points apiece. So I'm glad I started Jalen Waddle. And if anything, Jalen Waddle is going to get a lot of targets, a lot of intermediate stuff. Same thing with Tyreek Hill. They're very similar, yet very different at the same time. So feel confident starting both guys. Like I said, if there's going to be any air yards, it's going through Tyreek Hill. It's going through Jalen Waddle. That's a definite. Now, in terms of the running game, I'm not starting Chase Edmonds. I'm not confident in Chase Edmonds. But also, if I'm you have Raheem Mostert just in case Edmonds gets hurt. I love my handcuffs. Anybody who watch my show knows that I love my handcuffs. If you look at my roster is usually filled with handcuffs. What up, Greg? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. Please like, please share, please subscribe if you haven't already. Greg writes, would you start Komet or Tanyan this week? Also, who would you drop and keep this season? Honestly, I think that Komet has the higher upside. I just don't trust Justin Fields. For this particular week, I'm starting Robert Tanyan. I think that Tanyan is Green Bay's number one wide receiver right now. They don't trust the wide receivers there, especially if Allen Lazard is out. Second week of Tanyan being back from injury, I will go Tanyan over Komet this week. But season long, I would keep Komet over Tanyan, especially if you're talking dynasty. Says also, is George Pickens a drop in 12-man leagues? If it's redraft, right now he's droppable. I think that George Pickens possibly picks up as the season goes on, especially if Pickett becomes the quarterback. So as of right now, George Pickens has no value in redraft leagues. I actually had George Pickens. I drafted him with my very last pick, and I dropped him right before week 1 to get a James Robinson. So yes, there's tons of players that are better than George Pickens right now in your waiver wire. So yes, he's definitely droppable as of right now. Nathan Steed, man, appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. Please like, please subscribe, please share if you haven't already. Nathan Steed writes, are you stashing Dotson? Or I guess you meant Jahan Dotson. But yeah, he writes, are you stashing Dotson or Thielen? Starting, my bad. Are you starting Dotson or Thielen? I'm starting Dotson, man. Dotson is hot. He is hot right now, and I'm going to ride that out. What scares me about Adam Thielen is that the way that the Vikings are using Justin Jefferson, he pretty much got 70% of the target share. That's crazy. I know it's not going to happen every single week, but right now, with the usage of Justin Jefferson, it's scaring me with starting guys like Thielen and starting guys like Osborne. So, yes, I will definitely go Dotson, especially this week versus the Lions. I think it has the potential to be a high-scoring game. So you can see a potential where Dotson gets a lot of love. People are saying, how about Terry McLaurin? How about Curtis Samuel? Both guys are phenomenal. Terry's going to start getting 7 to 10 targets as the season goes on. But Dotson is special. He knows how to get open, and we see that he has a nose for the football, and he knows how to find the end zone. Found the end zone 2 times. So, yes, I will roll with Dotson one more week. I think he has a big game come Sunday. If you guys got questions, just continue to drop your questions. We were on the Miami Dolphins versus Baltimore game, right? For Baltimore, the question has been, do you start Rashad Bateman? I've seen other sites that say bench Rashad Bateman. I'm not benching Rashad Bateman. I think that Rashad Bateman still has a chance to get some love. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to put up wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 numbers, but I still think that Rashad Bateman is going to have flex appeal. So if you have a flex position and you want to flex Rashad Bateman, flex him. I think he can get anywhere between 10 to 13 points. That's the floor. And then he has that upside because he's Lamar Jackson's number 1 wide receiver. Devin Duvernay, he could get off. So one of those 2 guys gets off. I don't know who it is. Miami does have a tough defense, but I think this game has a potential to be a high-scoring game. So there's a potential where both guys get love. And also, if Mark Andrews is on fire and doing his thing, that opens it up even more for guys like Bateman and Duvernay. But start Lamar Jackson with confidence. I think that Lamar Jackson comes out here, balls out. Like I've told you guys from my earlier shows past couple weeks, I think that Lamar Jackson is going to be a QB 12-esque. He has a great chance to be a QB1 this year or QB1 overall. I love Lamar Jackson this year, and he's shown that he can pass the ball. So start Lamar Jackson. On the Dolphins side, like I said, I'm not messing with any of those running backs. Start their 2-star wide receivers. That's a definite. And if you're playing in a 2-quarterback league, Tua might be a play if you don't have anybody else. If you don't have anybody else, you start Tua. If you do have more talented quarterbacks or quarterbacks with better matchups, like, for example, I am going to start Jared Goff over Tua. I'm starting Jameis Winston over Tua. Just giving you an example. Football fan, appreciate you hopping on the stream. Please like, please subscribe, please share if you haven't already. Football fan 28 writes, pick 2, full PPR. Sutton, Mike Williams, Dillon, St. Brown. Whew, this is tough. My only fear is I've got Herbert and Everett tonight. So I do not want to have three guys. Yeah, I get it. You never want to have three guys on the same team going on a Thursday night, especially when they're all in the pass game, right? It's not like, okay, you run the ball, you pass. These guys are all in the pass game. So I feel you. I will not start Mike Williams tonight. I would go Dillon, and I would also go St. Brown. I think that St. Brown gets another 7 or more reception versus my Commanders come Sunday. St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a receiver that has now caught 7 or more passes. 8 or more passes, 8 or more receptions in the last 7 games. So he has 7 straight games of 8 or more receptions. Look it up. It's a crazy stat. I saw it this morning. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, man, he's phenomenal. He's becoming a must start for me. So, yes, start Amon-Ra St. Brown with confidence. He's going to destroy that Commanders slot corner or whoever, and then start Dillon. I like how Dillon is being used. Dillon is running the ball. Dillon is also catching passes. So, yes, I would go Dillon, and I would go Amon-Ra St. Brown. Bench Mike Williams. We got Anonymous Taylor in the building, channel member, man. Appreciate you hopping on the stream, my brother. He also says go Courtland Sutton. The only thing that scares me with Courtland Sutton is that we don't know who Russell Wilson is yet. We don't know how they're going to use this team. We don't know if Denver's going to involve the running backs heavily. That's the thing. That's the thing with Denver. Is it Jerry Jeudy? Is it Courtland Sutton? KJ Hamler, he's still alive. He didn't die, right? So he's there. It's just so much. And then Russell Wilson loves his tight ends. And then with Javonte Williams catching, what was it, 11 receptions? That kind of scares me. So I'm staying clear from Sutton this week. I'm only going to start Sutton if I had no other option. Anonymous Taylor says, yeah, Dillon didn't see him. Dillon, yeah. Dillon is going to be a top 15 back this year, man. I love Dillon. I've been on the Dillon train since his rookie season. Aaron Jones is still going to get love as well, but Dillon has potential to be a top 15. I think Dillon is probably going to be top 20, but I will not be surprised if I see Dillon as a top 15 guy this year because he's going to catch a lot of passes. We know that the Green Bay Packers need weapons, so most definitely. Dillon over Sutton, yeah. Me and you are on the same page. All right, so we move on to the Jets versus the Cleveland Browns. Here's what I would do. I'm going to start the Cleveland Browns defense. That's number one. I'm also going to start – I just saw a comment. Let me read this comment. Anonymous Taylor says, you Dillon's dad. You love that kid. I'm the pappy, man. I love Dillon, man. I'm a Dillon fan, and I'm going to be a Dillon fan until he's done playing, man. I'm going to go to his retirement ceremony and everything. But back to this Browns and Jets game. You go Browns defense. That's number one. You go Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, and that's it. Anybody else in the passing game for Cleveland, stay away. You go Kareem Hunt, you go Nick Chubb, you start those two guys. Both guys have a chance to be top 15 running backs this week. Don't be surprised if Kareem Hunt once again outscores Nick Chubb just because of that PPR factor. Nick Chubb is a beast, but Kareem Hunt is crazy when it comes to PPR. On the Jet side, you start no one. Maybe Elijah Moore, but you start no one. I don't trust Breece Hall. I love Breece Hall, but I don't trust him versus this matchup. I think that I don't even know what to think. Corey Davis, you got a whole bunch of guys. I'm not starting anybody offensively from the Jets unless I had to. And if I had to, it'll be Breece Hall and it'll be what's his name? Elijah Moore. Those are the only two guys I feel confident in starting if I had to start somebody. You go to the Washington and Detroit game. I think this is going to be a potential high-scoring game. Washington did score 4 touchdowns on Sunday, and then the Lions scored what? What was it, 31 points or 30-some points? I think it was 32 points. So this could be a high-scoring game. I see this being a 27 to 30 kind of score or whatever. You can see this game going into the 30s. Both defenses are terrible. Both offenses are up and coming. I like Goff this week. I'm starting Goff in a lot of leagues. I'm starting Wentz in a lot of leagues. I am starting Carson Wentz over Tom Brady. I am starting Carson Wentz over Matthew Stafford. Those are the two guys that I am starting. Anonymous Taylor says, I'm starting Elijah Moore. I feel you. I mean, Elijah Moore is good. I just don't trust Joe Flacco. And I don't even trust that Joe Flacco can find Elijah Moore. What if Elijah Moore is blanketed? You know what I'm saying? And the Browns, they have a really good defense. Anonymous Taylor also says, I like Wilson also. They were feeding him. My problem is somebody is going to go off for the Jets. I just can't pinpoint who it's going to be. It could be Garrett Wilson. It could be Elijah Moore. It could be Corey Davis, who you hate now. It can be anybody in the passing game. It could be Conklin, the tight end, which I'm starting in a league that I have no tight end. So somebody's going to get love. I just don't know who, and I don't know if it's going to be enough points. But all those guys that you mentioned have flex appeal. I feel more confident starting those guys in my flex position than starting them as my wide receiver 2 or 3 this week. He says, I don't trust the backs. I'm with you, but Michael Carter's balling. Michael Carter's getting all the receptions, all the carries. Michael Carter's getting everything. Like, he's probably possibly one guy that I might start. I trust Michael Carter right now over Breece Hall. Breece Hall is supposed to be doing what Michael Carter's doing, but I guess they're going to ease him on in. He is a rookie. But back to the Washington game. Start Jared Goff. Start Amon-Ra St. Brown. Also, I think one other wide receiver or tight end goes off for the Lions. It's probably going to be Hockenson, just because the middle of the field versus Washington is wide open. Also, with Washington, they like the linebackers are terrible. So also, DeAndre Swift could go off, but this is 2 days in a row that DeAndre Swift has not practiced. So keep an eye out on that. Friday is the telling day. If he does not practice on Friday, he's most likely going to be a game time decision or most likely going to be out. And if he's out, best believe I'm looking at a guy like Jamal Williams to, do some work. So with Washington, you want to start Carson Wentz. Also, the 3 wide receivers possibly all go off again this week. I just don't know what the target share is going to look like. Start Terry, start Jahan, start Curtis Samuel. And some of these guys you can start in your flex and feel comfortable, especially if you're playing in a deep league. Jahan Dotson is a really good play this week. Also, do not be surprised if Logan Thomas scores a touchdown in this game. Don't be surprised if the Commanders incorporate Logan Thomas even more. I think that Logan Thomas most likely does something this week. So I see lots of scoring. I see lots of points. I see lots of stats. So this is a great game for fantasy football. We move on to the Indianapolis Colts versus the Jags. It's going to be an interesting one. Both teams are going to be looking for their first win. The Jags, they got some firepower. I think ETN plays better. People are down on ETN right now. I'm not starting ETN this week. I got to see a little bit more out of him. I trust James Robinson more just because he gets the goal line carries, right? So with that being said, I trust James Robinson. I trust Christian Kirk as well. And for the Colts, of course, Jonathan Taylor is a must start. If you're in a 2-quarterback league, Matt Ryan is a good play. If you're in a 1-quarterback league, I'm not messing with Matt Ryan unless I have Dak Prescott, right? Also, Michael Pittman, he's not practicing. He's kind of banged up right now. I think he pulls it through and plays. But look for another game where Michael Pittman is peppered with targets. He can possibly end up as the wide receiver 5 this week or even higher. The Jags are terrible. We saw what Washington wide receivers were able to do against Jacksonville. This is Pittman by himself. This is Pittman. This is the Pittman show. So I expect Pittman to get a lot of love this week. So just keep an eye out on that. We go to the Tampa Bay versus New Orleans game. Anonymous Taylor's been in the comments. He's talked about Logan Thomas. He doesn't like Logan Thomas this week. Anonymous Taylor doesn't like the Jags. He hates the Jags. He's a Titans fan, so he doesn't like the Jags, and he does not like the Colts. I feel you, man. I get it. Trust me. Pittman by default. Yeah, Pittman by default because he has to get the targets. Like, he can get 15 targets this week, and he might get 10 receptions or more. So I like Michael Pittman a lot this week. But Tampa Bay and the Saints, it's interesting because these are 2 really good defenses, and this can be a really low-scoring game. Today, Julio Jones didn't practice. Mike Evans did not practice. And not Russell Gage. Godwin, of course. Godwin is most likely out. But The 3 top wide receivers didn't practice. So Russell Gage was healthy. He practiced. Tom Brady does whatever he wants to do. Brady might be a decent play, but I'm not messing with Brady this week. Fournette might be a good play. He might be the best play for Tampa Bay this week. Not even the kicker, not even the defense. It's going to be Fournette as the biggest fantasy player for Tampa Bay. Now, with the Saints, you got Kamara, you got Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, he's dealing with injury. So go look at the backup, see who his backup is, because he might not play. Also, if Jameis Winston doesn't play, you're going to see a lot of Taysom Hill playing some quarterback. They have him listed as tight end right now. I love Taysom Hill this year. He's going to be getting a lot of these gadget plays. He's going to catch passes. He's going to line up as fullback, tight end, wide receiver, you name it. He's going to be a gadget player. He might just get enough gadget plays to be relevant. If you get into the goal line situation, you know that Taysom Hill is getting at least 1 or 2 goal line carries a game, minimum, right? So Taysom Hill is a good play in a deep fan, not dynasty, but premium league, tight end premium league. Anonymous Taylor writes, Julio is only going to practice 5 times this season. I agree with that statement. He's going to go all week rested and then show up game day. That's Julio. He's so fragile. He's made out of tissue paper. Mike Evans is 29 or 30. I think the same thing. Yeah, Mike Evans, even though he doesn't practice, he's still a beast. Until Mike Evans does not have 1,000 yards receiving in the season, then I can say, okay, he's falling off the cliff. Mike Evans is a beast. He's a beast. And Anonymous Taylor writes, Jameis Winston, broken body. Jameis broken body Winston, man. Did you see how he was talking? He almost sounded like Mike Tyson. He was like, yeah, I was hurt. I was hurt. Spinal. I don't know what he was saying, but he was talking about his back and being hurt. And if I can find that clip, I'll play it, man. It's too funny. It says Kamara is finished. Kamara might be finished, man. I've not seen anything out of Kamara in the last few games that he's played. Not just week 1, even last year. So if you have Kamara, it's possibly time to sell. And then when that suspension hits, it's going to suck for everybody. So, yeah, I'm not even looking at any of the running attack for the Saints. I do like Olave. I don't know if Olave gets off this week. The safest bet is Jarvis Landry. Not Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry. He's going to work that middle of the field. And look out for Juwan Johnson. He's playing a lot of the snaps. He might end up being the tight end number 1 on that team. Troutman is trash. And Taysom Hill is going to get some love. They just listed Taysom Hill at tight end just to kind of hide him on the roster. So he's not a tight end. Taysom Hill is more of a running back / wide receiver / whatever they need him to be. So they just gave him that tight end designation just to hide him somewhere. Moving on to the next game, you got the Carolina Panthers versus the New York Giants. Carolina Panthers defense might be a decent DST play this week. We know that Daniel Apple Turnover Jones throws interceptions, but with the way that Saquon Barkley is playing, it might even elevate Daniel Jones' play. A sneaky play for the Giants is Sterling Shepard. I like Sterling Shepard a lot this week. He's their best wide receiver. It's not Kadarius Toney. It's not Wan'Dale Robinson. It's Sterling Shepard. We just don't know how long Sterling Shepard is going to stay healthy. That's the problem. For the Panthers, we don't know what's going on with Christian McCaffrey. If Christian McCaffrey doesn't have another big game, then I'm worried. I'm like, okay, Christian McCaffrey, what are you doing? You've had chances to really, do your thing. You're playing the Giants. I need Christian McCaffrey to start looking like Christian McCaffrey. Maybe Baker Mayfield is the problem. I don't know. DJ Moore, I'm waiting on that big game. I'm not starting DJ Moore. I'm not starting any offensive players for the Panthers except of Christian McCaffrey, just because if you drafted Christian McCaffrey in the top 3, you got to play him. You can't bench a guy like Christian McCaffrey. So we'll see what happens there, but I do like Sterling Shepard this week. Moving on to the New England Patriots versus Anonymous Taylor, man. You're killing me with these comments, man. It says Giants and Panthers trash. I get it, man, but it's fantasy football. We don't care about how trash the team is. We just care about the volume and the targets and points and stats, right? That's what fantasy football is. I get it. Nobody's watching that game but the parents of the Giants players and the parents of the Panthers players. I'm not watching this game. I'm not even watching the highlights. Saquon Barkley or not. We know it's trash. We know it's a trash product. But it is what it is, right? So New England and the Steelers. Mac Jones might not play, so you got Brian Hoyer coming in. Either way it goes, to be honest, I'm starting the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Like, that defense was nasty with TJ Watt or not. I still think they're really, really, really good defense. And Mac Jones is going to struggle. If it's Brian Hoyer, you can look at Pittsburgh scoring 25 points with their DST. Their DST has potential to score 25 points, especially if Mac Jones doesn't play. Now, who is going to score for the Pats? Is it Devontae Parker? Is it Nelson Aguilar? I mean, that offense looks very funny. And with Ty Montgomery going to IR, Ramondre Stevenson is the player to go and scoop right now. If Ramondre Stevenson is available in any league that you're in, you go scoop him because he has a chance to be that PPR catching guy. Ramondre Stevenson, I said it today at 9:15, 22 at 5:15 p.m. Manny told you guys to grab Ramondre Stevenson. Ladarius Grant, appreciate you hopping on the stream, my brother. Please like as you guys come in. Please like. He says Saquon over Derrick Henry. These are fighting words for Anonymous Taylor because he's a Titans fan. But this year, so far, from what I've seen, yes, I'll take Saquon over Derrick Henry this year so far. But don't sleep on Derrick Henry. Once he gets churning, once he gets going, we know what Derrick Henry brings to the table. Saquon still got to stay healthy. These are two guys that need to stay healthy. But for right now, yes, I would rather trade for Saquon than trade for Derrick Henry. Mac throw 5-yard Jones. Yep, that's who Mac. Hey, if you are in a league where you get points per first down, then Mac Jones is perfect. Other than that, I don't know. So Ladarius has the Steelers winning. I have the Steelers winning as well, even though that Trubisky is trash to me. I just think that the Steelers' defense is going to be greater than the Patriots' defense. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. So temper your expectations. Even with Najee Harris, I don't trust anybody in this game. I think it's going to be low-scoring. Whoever that gets the touchdown possibly wins this game. It's going to be closer than what people think. I've never seen Bill Belichick go 0-2 to start a year. So it's not looking likely that he goes 0-2, but I favor the Steelers winning this game. Says the Pats could call up Cam Newton. They can, but Mac Jones is fine. I'd rather have Mac Jones than have Cam Newton. That's just me, to be honest. Not if Trubisky can help it. Yeah, if Trubisky does what Trubisky do, then you're going to be seeing Kenny Pickett come week 3 as a starting quarterback. I promise you that. It says they should call Cam back and tell him not to come back. Man, this comment right here is 10 out of 10. I'm rating this comment 10 out of 10. This is the best comment that I've seen all day since I've been doing this stream. I forgot where I was. All right, we're moving on to the ATL versus Rams game. I think this is going to be a blowout. It's going to be crazy. The Rams are going to come into this game pissed off. Matthew Stafford has everything to prove. This game will tell me what I need to know about Matthew Stafford. This game would also tell me what I need to know about Cam Akers. Cam Akers, he fooled everybody. Cam Akers, we want our money back, okay? If you drafted Cam Akers, whether mid to high or wherever you drafted him, you're not getting your return of investment right now. So Darrell Henderson seems to be the starting quarterback for the Rams. So Cam Akers is a fraud right now. Matthew Stafford, is your elbow okay? We want to see some improvement. We want to see what you can do, Matthew Stafford, right? Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp. Allen Robinson, you another one. You another suspect that's been on that milk carton. We don't know who you are right now. You got to produce. So with that Rams game, it's the perfect opportunity against a lowly ATL Falcons team. I think the Rams go off. Offense, defense should be clicking on all cylinders. Especially if Van Jefferson doesn't play. Allen Robinson, you better ball out. You have no excuses. After week 2 of bad Akers or bad Robinson, it can get ugly in the fantasy world. Let me get into these comments a little bit. Anonymous Taylor writes, Saquon once a year, Barkley. I feel you. Viscount, what's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, brother. Please like. We got Ladarius. He says, Stafford having that post-championship slump. I mean, it's just one game. It's one game. We don't know what's going to happen moving forward. But, yes, he is having that slump. Stafford does look pretty bad right now. So I can give you that. Anonymous Taylor writes, I just want the Rams needed. It says that ATL defense made broke body Winston look good. Absolutely. I think Stafford gets over 300 yards. If you're a betting man, I think Stafford has a chance for 3 touchdowns. If he doesn't get 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, something's wrong, because they got to score and the Rams know how to score. And I can tell you this, I don't trust that run game for the Rams. Even with this lowly ATL Falcons defense, I don't trust that run game. So we're going to see a lot of passing yards. Anonymous says, I wish we could play ATL. Shaking my head. Everybody wants to play ATL, man. My guy, Dujanay Bland, what's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, brother. Please like it up. Like it up. But moving ahead, right? For the Falcons, let's look at the Falcons' offensive side of the ball. You got Mariota, who played well last week, right? I don't think he does the same thing versus the Rams defense. You have Cordero Patterson, who played well. I don't know, but I am starting Cordero Patterson. I think they're going to involve him a lot in the receiving game. Everybody was on that Algier hype. Oh, Algier is going to be the guy. And it's still very early. But Cordero Patterson looked good. He rushed for 120 yards as a running back, not even a receiver, as a running back. So this week, I see them open up the playbook, getting Cordero Patterson involved. Drake London and Kyle Pitts. What are y'all going to do? Drake London had a decent game. Kyle Pitts, not so much. So everybody's on this Kyle Pitts hype train. I got to start seeing the fruits of Kyle Pitts. I've not seen much so far in this small sample size, being 1 game. But after 2 games of Kyle Pitts not balling out, then I'll be worried if I drafted Kyle Pitts in the 3rd round of fantasy drafts. I would be worried, because that's where he was going, in the 3rd round, high 3rd rounds, right, of these redraft leagues. All right, we move on to San Francisco versus Seattle. But before I do, let me get into these comments real quick. Ladarius says the most injury-prone quarterback in football is Dak. Dak is back. Dak attack, right? He's the AD of football. When the Dallas Cowboys paid Dak all this money, he was hurt. So they didn't consider the injury. Now Dak is hurt again. And they don't have a backup. The Dallas Cowboys were silly. The way that they played this offseason was just wild to me. You don't go and invest in a backup quarterback. I think they even cut both of the backup quarterbacks, put them back on the practice squad, and then elevated somebody to do their 53-man roster. So, yeah, Dak Prescott stays hurt. He's starting to be a liability. And CeeDee Lamb, I got my eyes on you, because a lot of people are hyping up CeeDee Lamb, and I've not seen CeeDee Lamb do anything as the number 1 wide receiver. Amari Cooper was so instrumental to Dallas that they need Dak to be Dak, right? Justin, man, what's good, man? Please like it up, man. Appreciate you hopping on the stream. Anonymous Taylor says, Dak, if I wasn't injury-prone Prescott, man. These nicknames. All right, Justin says, I need to start 2 wide receivers. Pittman is questionable, and Juju plays Tennessee. Tennessee can't guard nobody, so automatically you start Juju. Wait a minute. Juju plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, Juju plays tonight. My bad, not Tennessee, tonight. My bad. Yeah, I would start Juju tonight. That's a definite. And you go Pittman. I think Pittman plays. You have Sutton, you have Olave, you have A-Rob. I don't trust any of those guys. Give me Juju, give me Pittman. Those are the guys. Since you're going against Pat Mahomes and Kelsey, you better pray that Pat Mahomes passes everything to Juju. I think Kelsey goes up tonight. I think Kelsey has 120 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, and about 7 receptions. Those are my stat predictions for Kelsey tonight. Do you like the Chargers +4? Nah, I don't. I think the Chiefs win this game, and they win it big. They win by maybe a couple touchdowns, or they win by at least 10 points. Yeah. Yep. We are on the same page. Pittman and Juju. Yep. So this Seattle and San Francisco game, Trey Lance, I'm looking for you, man. But before I talk about Trey Lance, let me hit these comments real quick. Raphael, appreciate you hopping on the stream. Please like it up. Cordero Patterson or Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week. I don't trust Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But then Cordero Patterson is playing a tougher matchup, right? So it's kind of like, it's one of those things. I would go Cordero Patterson. I think he gets more receptions this week over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, so give me Cordero Patterson over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's just me. That's just me. Was good, Nick Ted. Please like it up. It says, would you trade Wilson and Everett for Pitts? So Russell Wilson and Everett for Pitts, PPR. I would do it if I have another quarterback. So if it's a one quarterback league and I have another quarterback that's better than Russell Wilson or about the same as Russell Wilson, I'll definitely make that deal. Yeah, that's a great deal for you, actually. Ladarius says, I wish Rodgers would have went to San Francisco because the receivers on the Packers are trash. Yeah, the Packers, man, we talked about this last week. They goofed off with the wide receiving core, and Romeo Doubs would most likely be the best wide receiver on the Packers before the year is over. Christian Watson still needs some time. We all knew that Christian Watson was a project. He had a wide open touchdown. It was a deep pass. He caught it, dropped it. Had he caught it, he would have just walked into the end zone. So keep that in mind. And then with Lazard is a good player, but I don't see him being the number one wide receiver. I think Robert Tonyan, for right now, is the number one wide receiver until things change. Oh, you talking about Jeff Wilson? Yeah, Jeff Wilson and Everett for Pitts. That's a no-brainer. You go ahead and make that deal right away. Absolutely. Absolutely. Elver, what's good, man? Please like it up. Appreciate you hopping on the stream. It says, do I wait for Kittle or do I play Everett? You play Everett. I think Everett has a great game tonight. Everett is going to be highly targeted, especially with Keenan Allen being out. So it's going to be a committee of wide receivers and tight ends and running backs and whatever. Look for also Austin Eckler to get some love. But, yeah, I like Everett tonight. I have Everett starting in several leagues tonight. Kittle, I don't trust him. Trey Lance, I don't trust him. So that answers your question. Go Everett tonight with the better quarterback. Jeff Wilson, hit a set. That's the same thing I was saying. Josh Palmer, what's good, Craig? Appreciate you hopping on the stream. Please like it up. Says Josh Palmer or Damian Pierce PPR. This is interesting, and it's easy. You go Josh Palmer, man. Damian Pierce, we don't know who you are. You're playing for one of the worst offenses in all of football, and you're losing work to Rex Burkhead. So I'm not going Damian Pierce. I'm going Josh Palmer. I know that Josh Palmer didn't do work last week when Keenan Allen went out, right? So it's kind of crazy. But I would go Josh Palmer just because tonight I have a good feeling. I think that Justin Herbert goes bananas, and you can just pray that Joshua Palmer is one of the guys that's going to be receiving a touchdown tonight from that quarterback. Anonymous Taylor, he loves Pierce. I'm not messing with Pierce, man. Pierce got to show me something until I start starting Pierce. I'm sorry. You're still a rookie, and if Breece Hall is struggling, Damian Pierce is struggling, okay? So until he starts to get some passing work, I'm staying away from Pierce, especially in redraft. Jacob, man, what's good? Please like it up. Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Henderson? Give me Henderson. Give me Henderson. I think Henderson is the number one running back for the Rams for the foreseeable future until we figure out what's going on with Akers. I just don't trust Clyde Edwards-Helaire. People possibly think I hate Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which could be true, but I like Henderson over Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week. Since I'm a big fan of Justin Jefferson or Stephon Diggs for Offensive Player of the Year, I like both guys. I think that Justin Jefferson is going to have an insane season. If you look at what Justin Jefferson did last year, over 100 receptions. This year, he's on pace for 150 receptions. And giving this man an extra 17th game, it's going to be bananas. Justin Jefferson has a chance for 2,000 yards receiving. He has a chance. I don't know if he does it, but he's definitely – I see 1,700 yards receiving. I see it. Justin Jefferson is going to be bananas this year. He's going to be this year's Cooper Kupp. Not only does he get receptions, he gets touchdowns. Justin Jefferson is going to be averaging 30 points a game for the foreseeable future. I think that Justin Jefferson wins that Offensive Player of the Year if they actually give receivers love. The Chargers' J.C. Jackson will play tonight per source. Oh, snaps. He's moved around really well during his workouts. Well, that's a game changer. That's a game changer. I guess he's guarding Juju Smith-Schuster, right? Yeah. So let me see. Justin says Dillon or Henderson. Give me Dillon. Dillon all day, man. Dillon all day. What has Palmer ever done? I don't know, but if he's done nothing, Anonymous Taylor, trade him to me in the back row league. How about that? Send me a trade right now. And if it's good, matter of fact, I'll give you a 3rd round pick for him. Send it and I'll take it right now. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Miles Sanders, or Pierce. This is interesting. These are 2 guys that I don't like. I don't like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't like Miles Sanders. I'm going to go Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Miles Sanders. Elver says, start Aaron Jones at my RB1, hoping for a bounce back. Yeah, I think Aaron Jones is going to be fine. I think Aaron Jones and Dillon, they both are going to get love. They're going to run the ball a lot because this is not going to be the Aaron Rodgers that we've seen in the past. Like the passing game is struggling. They're going to run the ball, play good defense. And I think both guys, both Jones and Dillon, both could receive 5 targets apiece from Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, I love Aaron Jones moving forward. Dylan, what's good, man? Welcome to the stream. Please like it up. Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Travis Etienne in week 2. Woo, this is tough. Give me Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm a little down on Etienne right now. I think he bounces back. Etienne does have some receiving upside, but with Trevor Lawrence, I don't really understand what's going on, how Etienne is being used. Etienne is not getting he's not getting rush attempts. So give me Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Etienne. Let's see what Etienne does in week 2 before I start putting some confidence behind Etienne's name. Elva writes, Sutton, Michael Thomas, or Curtis Samuel in the flex. I love this question. I think I would go Courtland Sutton. It's a tough one. It can go either way. I love all 3 this week, but I would go Sutton over Michael Thomas over Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel had 11 targets last game, right? But what happens to Curtis Samuel when Terry McLaurin gets 10 targets? That's the difference. Terry McLaurin was still able to get love by going deep and catching the pass. Because with Curtis Samuel getting, 11 targets, he didn't have a lot of yards. So it scares me that if he gets, let's say, 6 targets, then you're looking at four receptions for about 30 yards, maybe a score. So I would go Courtland Sutton just because he had 7 targets last week, and I can see Courtland Sutton out-targeting Curtis Samuel. With Michael Thomas, it's kind of like up and down. Then you're playing a tough Tampa Bay defense. So give me Sutton over these other 2 guys. Jacob, what's good? Welcome to the stream. Please like, please subscribe. Well, I already mentioned you before. My bad, Jacob. Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Henderson or Henry or Harris. Start 3. Okay, so if it's Derrick Henry, I'm going Derrick Henry. If it's Harris, I'm going Najee Harris. If it's Najee Harris, and then give me Henderson over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, that's how I'll go. If it's Najee Harris, Derrick Henry, give me Henderson over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's exactly how I would rock it out. It says, you like Wentz better than Heinicke so far? Absolutely. I love Heinicke's heart. I love Heinicke's passion. But Carson Wentz is a quarterback that can make all the throws. He can make all the throws. The thing with Carson Wentz is, which Carson Wentz are you going to get? Is his mind right? But the talent has always been there for Carson Wentz. So give me Wentz over Heinicke. You saw what happened. I mean, this is the first time a Washington quarterback has gotten 4 touchdowns in their first game since I don't even know how long ago. So yeah, I love Wentz, and I love Wentz this year as a solid QB2. Don't be surprised if Wentz pushes for a top 12 QB in fantasy this year, especially if the touchdown numbers continue to go up. Wentz did have this same kind of start for the Colts last year. Go look it up. Then he kind of fizzled out, and then he just became regular old Wentz. So I do love Carson Wentz this year a lot. Dylan writes, Bateman or Sutton in week 2? Bateman has a tough matchup. I'm a big Rashad Bateman fan. So it's easy to say Sutton over Bateman, but I like Bateman this week. I think that Bateman is going to get more targets this week, and I think that Lamar has a lot to prove this week. So give me Bateman over Sutton. Keep the questions coming. But in the meantime, I believe we were on the San Francisco and Seattle game. So, yeah, I don't trust Trey Lance, even though he's playing a lesser team in Seahawks. So the only guy for the San Francisco 49ers that I'm very interested in this week is Jeff Wilson. I think that Jeff Wilson has a good game. I can see Jeff Wilson with 22 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown. So play Jeff Wilson with confidence. In terms of what Seattle can do, I don't trust DK Metcalf. I don't trust anybody on that offensive side of the ball. A guy that I might play if I needed to play somebody is Rashard Penny. So between those two teams, I don't trust a lot of guys on that squad. Ladarius Grant writes, that offense is scary. Samuel is electric. Dotson is fast and lightning. Offensive line is solid. Just need more targets for Scary Terry. Absolutely, man. I love the game plan on Sunday. More targets for Scary Terry. But if Scary Terry is being double teamed, then you got to do what you got to do. There's this clip that I have to find on Terry McLaurin. He was talking. He was spitting. Terry was in his bag talking to his guys. He's the leader of this receiving core now, being a vet. Yeah, I love the makeup of the team. Curtis Samuel had people just falling, man. Even though he didn't have a lot of yards, he had a lot of Showtime type plays. Dujanay says, Lamar Jackson or Derek Carr? Give me Lamar Jackson because of the rushing ability. Every time that Lamar Jackson rushes for 10 yards, that's 1 point, right? Every time that Lamar throws for 25 yards, that's 1 point. So I would take that rushing ability as a weapon. And if Lamar gets a rushing touchdown, that's even better, especially in leagues where touchdown passes count as 4. So give me Lamar Jackson over Derek Henry. Over Derek Carr. Derek Carr does have a really good matchup this week, but I still love Lamar Jackson's rush ability. So give me Lamar Jackson. We move on to the Dallas Cowboys versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Start everything Bengals. Start Tyler Boyd if Higgins is out. Start Hayden Hurst. Start Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Mixon. P. Ryan might even get off. Dallas is going to be trailing so much in this game. Cooper Rush is going to struggle. Matter of fact, start the Bengals DST. It's going to be so bad. Don't start CeeDee Lamb unless you have to. Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard, I don't trust. I don't trust anybody on Dallas. Nobody on Dallas. Now, if you're playing in a IDP league, then you start Micah Parsons. I think he gets a couple sacks. But other than that, all Bengals, start whoever you want. It's going to be a blowout. I'm looking at 30 to 40 points to about 12. That's what I'm looking at. The kicker might be the most productive player for Dallas Cowboys. Now, y'all are possibly saying, oh, yeah, man, he's hating just because he's a Commanders fan. The Dallas Cowboys were the only team last week to not score a touchdown. And they had Dak Prescott. This week, you're playing an angry Cincinnati Bengals team, and you're not going to have your best player in Dak Prescott. So, yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be bananas. In the comment section, Ladarius Grant reads, if you give Lamar at least one top-tier wide receiver, it's night-night for the league. I agree. Lamar is a much better passer than what people give him credit for. Lamar is actually improving in all facets of his game. And look, like I said, Lamar has the potential to push Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes for number 1 overall when it comes to being a quarterback in fantasy. Joe Shiesty about the Cook, Parsons, and that defense. I agree. Joe has a lot to prove. They lost a tough game last week, and I think he comes out guns blazing. He's going to come out on fire. Bengals by a lot. Dylan writes, is DJ Moore still a good wide receiver 2, or is he more of a flex player? I love DJ Moore as a wide receiver 2. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm not a DJ Moore fan, but after I brought a guest on my show, you guys go back, check the videos. I brought a guest on my show. Don't know which episode it was on, but I brought my guy Muller, and he was able to break down DJ Moore and really tell me how good DJ Moore is. We know that DJ Moore is good for 1,100 yards every single year. We know that DJ Moore is good for about 4 to 6 touchdowns every single year. So he's always a top 24 wide receiver. I think he has some adjusting to do with Baker, but once they get that chemistry going, DJ Moore is going to be putting up some weekly, really, really, really good numbers. And I think he's in for a big week this week. So, yeah, start DJ Moore with confidence as your wide receiver 2. You'll be fine. If he's at your flex, even better. It's all good. Ladarius writes, I'm starting to think Romo had a better Cowboys run than Dak. It's very debatable. That franchise is cursed. I can't talk. My squad is cursed too, but it just seems like the Dallas Cowboys just can't get that quarterback that gets them over the hump. It's just something about the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know. Jerry Jones ain't living right. He ain't living right. Why is it that bad things keep happening to your squad? It's Jerry Jones' fault, just like it's Daniel Snyder's fault. All right, so I got a news coming in that says Mike Evans and Julio did not practice on Thursday. We mentioned that earlier, so we already knew that, right? Also, Brevin Jordan logs in a did not practice on Thursday as well. So if you're looking for another tight end in a deep tight end league, Pharaoh Brown might be a decent play if he's available for you. It says Dallas is awful and they had Dak. Absolutely. McCarthy continues to piss down his legs like a 90-year-old, and Kellen Moore is not an offensive coordinator, period. I agree with everything that you've said. Those are all valid points. Dallas just does not have it together. Dallas needs to make some changes and get some of these guys out from that office. Ladarius Grant writes, I'm starting to think Baker Mayfield is just Johnny Manziel without the coke addiction. Could be. But I think that Baker Mayfield balls out this year. This is his last chance. He has no choice but to ball out. Even if he doesn't ball out, he's going to hang around. He has just enough talent to hang around in the NFL, which is so interesting. What's good? The real shop. Well, the real slap chop. I was trying to read your name. Appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. Please like it up. Double question. I got 2 spots to start between Juju, Thielen, Lazard, Claypool. Who do I start? So let's do process of elimination. You eliminate Thielen, okay? Justin Jefferson is running that show on the Vikings. You start Juju, okay? Now it comes down to Lazard and Claypool. If Lazard is healthy, you go Lazard. If Lazard is not healthy, then you go Claypool. So yeah, definitely Juju is a must start, and then you go Lazard. Those are my 2 that I would start. It says, and do you think I should trade Claypool for Amari Cooper? I won't do that. Even though people are down on Claypool right now, including myself, I still think that Claypool has way more upside than Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper doesn't have Deshaun Watson. Now, if you make this deal, it might be a deal for later down the line. You're praying that when Deshaun Watson comes back, he has a connection with Amari Cooper. Then it makes sense. If you make this trade, you're making this trade to stash Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is going to give you nothing right now. Nothing whatsoever. Dylan writes, are the Vikings Super Bowl contenders? I say yes. I love the Vikings a lot this year. If the Vikings ever really had a solid defense, which they seem like they do this year, I definitely see the Vikings as Super Bowl contenders. I know it's real early. Week 1 means nothing. Kirk Cousins, all Kirk Cousins has to do is to make sure that Justin Jefferson is peppered with targets. Dalvin Cook, run the ball. You have everything in your favor to have this team humming. I think the Vikings are a Super Bowl contender this year. I really do. Not just because I'm a Kirk Cousins fan. I just really think that this could be the Vikings' year. Now, let's see what happens this week with the Vikings. It's going to be real interesting. So we move on to the Houston Texans versus the Denver Broncos. I don't trust anybody on the Houston Texans. Maybe Brandon Cooks if I'm in desperate need of a third wide receiver or a flex play. In terms of Denver, we got to see Cortland Sutton do something, right? We got to see Jerry Jeudy be more consistent. Jerry Jeudy still has the butterfingers. He can run routes. He gets open. Russell Wilson, we want to see a pissed-off Russell Wilson being put in place to where they could have gotten that 4th and 5. They kicked that 64-yard field goal. They missed it. So Russell Wilson got to be pissed. I see Russell Wilson going off for a big game. I'm talking about 300 yards plus, running the ball, and throwing for 3 touchdowns. Now, who are going to be the guys to catch those 3 touchdowns? That's what it's going to boil down to. Is Javonte Williams going to get 12 to 13 targets again? Is he going to get double-digit receptions? If he gets double-digit receptions again, you can start putting Javonte Williams in that conversation for RB1 overall, because in PPR leagues, points per receptions matter, right? So those are some of the things that I'm going to be looking at. Check the comment section real quick before I go to the next game. This is, imagine if Diggs was still on the Vikings. If Diggs was still on the Vikings, Justin Jefferson will not be on the Vikings. We have to remember, when they traded Diggs to the Bills, that draft pick became Justin Jefferson. So just have that in mind. I get it. If Diggs was there, yes. But with Diggs, no Justin Jefferson. I think this trade worked out beautifully for both teams. Diggs is killing it over there. Jefferson is killing it over here. Patty, what's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream. Please like it up. It says flex T. Higgins. Don't know if he'll play. Curtis Samuel, Edmonds, Penny, Lazard. This is real interesting. So let's just say that T. Higgins doesn't play. If T. Higgins play, then you play T. Higgins, right? So let's say that T. Higgins doesn't play. Edmonds, I don't trust. Penny, he's okay. So now it boils down to Lazard and Curtis Samuel. Lazard is the number one wide receiver, so I would go Lazard. Also, I got news coming in. KJ Hamler did not practice on Thursday, so you need to keep an eye out on that. Michael Pittman did not practice on Thursday as well. If KJ Hamler doesn't play this week, that just means more targets for Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, so keep that in mind. Viscount writes, let's hope the Vikings cook the Philly turkey this week. I think the Vikings are going to destroy the Philly Eagles on all facets of the game, defense, offense, special teams. That's going to be a true test because Philly put up a lot of points in week 1. Now they're playing a better defense than the Vikings. Let's see how they fare. And then let's see how the Vikings fare versus Philly. Can somebody stop A.J. Brown? A.J. Brown could potentially be a top 5 wide receiver this year. I've already said that. So it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a game that I'm going to be really, really, really watching. Ladarius Grant writes, if Russ can't beat the Texans, he needs to just stay home and let Sierra suit up for him. I think he's going to win. He's going to win. My whole thing with him is more so the stats. Marlon, what's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. Please like it up. Marlon writes, I think that the Vikings and Eagles come down to the wire. It's possible. It's possible. I think it's going to be a good game because it's two teams that are really saying that they're top teams in the NFC. So even though it's just week 2, it's going to be saying a lot. These games matter. At the end of the year when you're jockeying for, playoff positioning, it's very possible that it can be a close game. But then also, I want to see what my guy Justin Jefferson can do versus this tough Eagles defense. The Eagles have a really, really good defense. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, Marlon. Yeah, you're right. It could definitely be close. I'm just being a Commanders fan bashing the Eagles. But no, the Eagles are legit the best team in the NFC East this year so far. Ladarius says, who do you hate most? LOL. The Cowboys or the Eagles? The Cowboys, man. It's the Cowgirls. It's the Cowgirls. I cannot stand the Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys more than any team in history. Moving on to the Cardinals and the Vegas Raiders game. 2 0-1 teams. Kyler Murray needs to do something. Kyler Murray, his team is thin with the wide receivers. A.J. Green was ineffective. Ertz is battling injuries. They just sent me a report that Ertz is going to be healthy this week, so look for a daily dose of Ertz. Rondell Moore may or may not play. I just traded for Rondell Moore in Fantasy Dynasty. I traded Melvin Gordon for Rondell Moore. Rondell Moore is younger. I believe in Moore. I think that Moore has a chance to be a really good slot wide receiver, and he's going to be used in the run game as well. He's a running back / wide receiver, used like a Debo, used like a Curtis Samuel. So I love Rondell Moore a lot. I think that Derek Carr goes crazy. Devontae Adams goes crazy. But also look for Hunter Renfrow to have a great game. If you're scared to start Hunter Renfrow, you can flex him and have confidence that he's going to get you about 5 to 6 receptions. And if he does that, he's good for a good 15 points. Marlon says, I think the Raiders walk over the Cardinals. I think so too. Matchup-wise, the Cardinals are just struggling. I mean, they have James Conner. They don't have a full complement of weapons, especially if Rondell Moore doesn't play. A.J. Green and Greg Dortch and Ertz and who's the other wide receiver? Hollywood Brown. It's not enough. Kyler Murray needs a full complement of weapons to make this a game. Ladarius says Raiders by 10 plus. I have Adams 122 touchdowns. I can definitely see that. I can definitely see Adams going this crazy. We move on to the next game, and that's the Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers. The Bears are 1-0. How the heck did they get to 1-0? Don't know. I really don't know. Green Bay has to win this game. I think that Green Bay's defense is going to dominate the Chicago Bears. There's nobody that I trust on the Chicago Bears. I have some David Montgomerys that I've benched. I have some David Montgomerys that I had to start, so I'm praying that David Montgomery does something. Justin Fields, I don't trust him. Darnell Mooney, I feel sorry for him. In terms of Green Bay, we talked about it already. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Those are going to be the guys. Maybe a Lazard. I also think that Robert Tonyan has a chance to do something tonight. So Isaiah Spiller is out for tonight's game. They're going to continue to, not dress him, which makes sense. Sony Michel is the guy that I mentioned earlier on in the show. If you have a chance, go grab Sony Michel. Keep him on your roster just in case Eckler gets hurt. If Sony Michel is available in your waiver wire, go and scoop him just in case Austin Eckler gets hurt tonight. Because the Cardinals need to see if Fitzgerald can still run a route. Most definitely, man. I totally agree. Marlon writes, I got Dillon. Is he the start for this game? Absolutely. I think that Dillon is going to, I said it earlier in the show, Dillon has a chance to be a top 15 to top 20 running back this year. If he continues in this receiving game, I'm loving Dillon in the receiving game. If he continues, he definitely has a chance to be a top 15 to top 20. He's going to eat every single week. In most weeks, he's going to eat more than your guy, Aaron Jones. So, yeah, Dillon is a must start for me this week. That's a most definite. Since Rodgers by 7, hopefully, I trust A-Rod. We all trust A-Rod. But do you trust those receiving core? Do you trust Christian Watson? Do you trust Romeo Doubs? Do you trust Lazard? Do you trust Sammy Watkins and Randall Cobb? Those are the Fab Five. Those are the guys that the Packers said, these are the guys that are going to replace Devontae Adams. At least the Chiefs went and grabbed Juju Smith-Schuster. Why is it that the Green Bay Packers were so stubborn that the best they can do is grab a Sammy Watkins? You got to be kidding me, man. Aaron Rodgers deserves a whole lot more. I would not be surprised if Aaron Rodgers retires, honestly, because he was so pissed off at his wide receivers. It was hilarious, man. But you know what? I don't feel sorry for Aaron Rodgers because this goes to show you that great quarterbacks need great wide receivers. They go hand in hand. The Tennessee Titans versus the Buffalo Bills. You start Derrick Henry with confidence for the Titans, and then that's it. You start nobody else. I don't trust anybody else on the Titans but Derrick Henry. Now, Dontrell Hilliard could be an impressive play, especially if the Titans go losing from behind. Then guess what? You got to throw these short passes to come back, all these dump offs, and that's where Dontrell Hilliard could possibly be a factor. I get it. He only played 16% of the snaps last week, so it's not like he's going to score 20 points a game every single week. But if Dontrell Hilliard in PPR is available and I see the Titans losing, you can definitely see where those Dakin dunks, he's going to be the guy that, get all these small little dump offs. Marlon writes, Green Bay replaced $1 with 100 pennies. That's really what they did, man. That's really what they did. And it's sad. It's sad. I don't feel sorry for Green Bay. I don't. I really don't. Now for Buffalo, the biggest talk has been, can Gabe Davis do it again? Yes, he can. Why can't Gabe Davis do it again? Because he's playing the Titans. They can't guard nobody. They can't guard nobody. No, the Titans defense is actually really decent. But I think that Gabe Davis has a chance to go off. Obviously, you have Diggs. Obviously, you have Knox. Now, Dawson Knox, if you don't go off in week 2, then I'm worried. Then it's starting to be like, who is Dawson Knox, right? So start all of your Buffalo players with confidence. In terms of their running game, the only running back that I would trust would be Devin Singletary. He was not involved in the passing game last week, but he'll be in the passing game. He'll be involved in the passing game this week. So it's something to really pay attention to. I think that Zach Moss fumbled last week, and then James Cook also fumbled. So Devin Singletary was the only running back for the Bills that did not fumble. So look for a heavy dose of Devin Singletary. If Saquon was able to do what Saquon did, I'm not saying that Buffalo has that kind of rushing attack, but just know that Josh Allen is also an extra running back. But I do like Devin Singletary this week for the Buffalo Bills. I believe I've gone through every single game. I'm going to take a few more comments in the comment section before I log off. If you guys are just tuning in, please like, please share, please subscribe. I appreciate everybody. This is an awesome show. Let me go ahead and get through these last few comments, and then that'll be a wrap for the show. But there's Grant writes, the Bills by 30. Woo. Diggs, 122 touchdowns. Gabriel Davis, 90 yards, 1 touchdown. Wow. This is an impressive prediction. I'm going to call you out next week if you didn't get this one right, because you're saying the Bills by 30. And we know Anonymous Taylor is a big Titans fan. He's no longer in the chat. He probably had to go. But I'm going to bring this up next week. I will not forget. I'm going to write this thing down. But Darius Grant also says, can A-Rod force a trade? He can, but the Packers are not going to trade him. Because the Packers let go of so many guys just to make Aaron Rodgers one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. So there's no way. There's absolutely no way the Packers agree to this. The only way the Packers agree to this is that if you have a young up-and-coming quarterback that the Packers believe in, but they already have Jordan Love, who they believed in, and then that didn't work. So I see no scenario where Aaron Rodgers forces a trade. It can get real ugly. Now, of course, some contending team can say, hey, give me Aaron Rodgers, I'll give you 3 first-round picks. Let's say, for some odd reason, the Green Bay Packers start the year 0-7, 0-8, or whatever like the trade deadline is, and things are just bad, and Rodgers is cussing out the front office is cussing them out. They just, then there's a scenario where there might be a contender. Maybe San Francisco says, hey, we'll give you out 3 first-round picks, or we'll give you out 2 first-round picks and Trey Lance. Right? The Packers would be stupid not to take that, but I don't see no scenario like that. All right, Michael writes, should I play Juju or Mike Evans? Because Evans has an injury. To be honest, if both guys are healthy, I would go Mike Evans. But if you're afraid that Mike Evans might miss the game, then you go Juju. I honestly think that Mike Evans plays. Mike Evans is more durable than what people think. Mike Evans is trying to go for his 8th straight season of 1,000 yards receiving. So he's going to try to play as many games as he can because he knows when all the wide receivers are healthy, that's less target shares for Mike Evans. So if both are healthy, I'll go Mike Evans. Even now, to be honest, I'll go Mike Evans. But Juju has a good matchup tonight. He could do something. So if you're afraid, like I said, you go Juju. If you're confident, you go Mike. You go Mike Evans. And then if Russell Gage is available in your league, scoop Russell Gage and just have him on the bench just in case Mike Evans doesn't play tonight. Doesn't play Sunday. The Ravens should sign Antonio Brown. They should, but at the same time, can you trust Antonio Brown? Antonio Brown is the kind of guy where he might just get mad and slap the coach. I don't trust Antonio Brown right now. I don't think anybody in the league trusts Antonio Brown. I don't even think Antonio Brown trusts Antonio Brown. Not only that, I don't even think Antonio Brown's family trusts Antonio Brown. He needs some help mentally. I think Antonio Brown is done with football. But, you'll never know. Any last-minute questions? I got 4 more minutes before I end this stream. If I get any more questions, I'll go ahead and, discuss them. But this week is going to be an interesting week. It's going to be lots of points. It's going to be several games that are gonna shock you guys. It's always those several games, those games that nobody expects this team to win. There's going to be some upsets. That's what the NFL is all about. Now, there could be some guys that bust 2 weeks in a row. We talked about Allen Robinson. We talked about Cam Akers. These are 2 guys that might not perform to their capabilities, right? We have a game tonight. What if Clyde Edwards-Helaire lets everybody down? These are all the questions. These are all the thoughts that are going on in my mind right now. But this is the show. I enjoyed it. I appreciate everybody who came into the chat. I really, really enjoyed it. We're going to try to have these waiver. I usually do 2 shows for fantasy. I do the waiver wire show either on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Then I do the starts and sits either on a Thursday or Friday. Just all depends on how my schedule goes. But I will catch you guys next week, and you guys be blessed. I'm out.